Let me call to order this meeting of the West Palm Beach City Commission. Today is Monday, September 16th, 2024, and the time is 5 p.m. We will start this meeting off as we do all of our meetings with a moment of silence, please. Madam President, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I'll remind everyone of the rules of civility and decorum which govern this body. Officials shall be recognized by the chair and shall not interrupt the speaker. Public comment shall be addressed to the City Commission as a whole and not to any individual in the dais or in the audience. Displays of anger, rudeness, ridicule, impatience, lack of respect, and personal attacks are strictly prohibited. Unauthorized remarks from the audience, stamping of feet, whistles, yells, and similar demonstrations shall not be permitted. Please govern yourselves accordingly, as offenders may be removed from the meeting. Also, any person wishing to speak shall complete a comment card for each agenda item the person wishes to address, and the comment card shall include the person's full name, address, and the numbered agenda item. If the comment card is not completed, the person will not be recognized. Madam City Administrator, any additions, deletions, reorganization of the agenda?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right. We will turn now to item 6.1. City Commission approval is required for Mayor's reappointment of Brian Shegas to the Downtown Action Committee for a term of 3 years to expire on September 1st, 2027. Mr. Shegas has served over the maximum allowed number of terms, which is 3, and it is required that the City Commission confirm his reappointment. I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, Mr. Shegas' reappointment is recommended for his professional background, institutional knowledge, and years of service.
Thank you. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We will now turn to the consent calendar, items 7.1 through 7.5. Commissioners, any questions, comments on consent? Items 7.1 to 7.5. Do we have any cards on consent? If there are no questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, move approval of the items on consent.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 8.1. Resolution number 197-24 relating to the ratification of successor collective bargaining agreements between the City of West Palm Beach and the Florida State Lodge, Fraternal Order of Police, Inc., Certified Unit Number 401, Certificate Numbers 1985 and 1986 for the period October 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2027. Ms. Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. For the record, Faye Johnson, City Administrator. I am going to do the presentation before you tonight. So I want to start by just kind of putting this into perspective. Our current 3-year collective bargaining agreements with the Fraternal Order of Police expires later this month on the 30th. Therefore, the item before the board relates to 2 new 3-year Fraternal Order of Police collective bargaining agreements, or commonly referred to as CBAs. The request before the board tonight is for ratification of the new CBAs. I want to first start by indicating that negotiation is a team effort. On the city side, we have a number of members of our team, starting with the HR director, our assistant director, the city attorney, our chief of police, the two respective assistant chiefs, assistant city administrator Jose Rodriguez, and myself. And I want to certainly recognize and thank them for their efforts in helping us to get this across the finish line. And then when we look at the Fraternal Order of Police, on their side, we have a number of members on their team, Vincent Castilla, Sergeant Adam Myers, who serves as the president, Detective Dustin Campbell, Mark Morello, and Ariel Munez. And again, I want to also recognize and thank them for their efforts of helping to get this across the finish line. So tonight we have, in terms of what is before the board, the Fraternal Order of Police represents 3 collective bargaining agreements. I want to just start out by indicating the last group, which is the captains. The negotiations with that group is still pending, and it will resume, or they will resume in November. So it is not part of the ratification that is being requested of the board tonight. The 2 groups that are part of the resolution before you includes the first group, officers, sergeants, and non-sworn civilians, and the second group, which is the lieutenants. By way of background, our negotiations started back in February 2024. Negotiations is not an overnight matter. It takes quite a bit of time and effort and back and forth meetings to get to where we are. When we look at where we reached a tentative agreement that was done in August of 2024, you see the specific dates. And moving right along, FOP ratified the 2 agreements on the 20th of August. The respective votes for the first group of officers, sergeants, and civilians was by a ratification of 161 to 3, 98%, and the second group, lieutenants, was 100% ratification, 9 to 0. We then held an update with the board in your work session on August 26th. And that brings us to tonight. So before you, as the mayor articulated, is resolution number 197-24. Again, it is requesting ratification of the 2 collective bargaining agreements. I've enumerated those 2 agreements. If ratified by the board, they will go into effect October 1st, 2024, and expire September 30th of 2027. Hence, successor 3-year collective bargaining agreements. So while we tend to always focus and highlight the financial aspects of the agreements are much more than that. There are administrative and operational provisions that are in the agreements, and I want to just highlight some of the key ones. We made some clarifications in the provision related to workman's compensation, wherein if you're under workman's compensation, you get 66% of your salary. The clarification that was made allows the officers to actually utilize sick time and vacation time to bring their pay to 100% when they're out on workman's comp. Clarification was also made with uniforms and equipment provision, just removing some obsolete language. Then in promotions, we actually did some restructuring of the grading of the 3 components that go into promotions and increased the notice when we have promotions from 90 days to 120 days to give individuals who are planning to apply more time to prepare for testing. On the substance abuse, did some clarification on how the testing process will proceed and clarifying the deadline by which employees who are challenging the results must file that challenge. Now, getting to the compensation, which tends to be the highlight of negotiations and of the presentation. So for the first group of officers, sergeants, and lieutenants, we have a market adjustment of 17% that is in the agreement. And the 17% will go into effect October 1. The 5% step pay that is given on the anniversary date, that stays within the agreement. In total, the compensation would be 22% for fiscal year '25. I want to footnote that based on a point in time of negotiations, it raises our step one pay from $63,000 to $73,710. Based on the Palm Beach County market, it put our officers in second place. From 15, it brings our sergeants up from 8th place into 3rd place. It puts our lieutenants up from 5th place to 4th place. There are about 23 law enforcement agencies within the county. We have 5 other municipalities who have CBAs expiring at the end of this month. They are still in negotiations, so that placement could very well change, although we don't expect that it will. But market adjustments can be given mid-year. However, we think that this is an incredibly big accomplishment to get our starting pay into second place in the market. Moving on to the second and third year of the CBA. Well, no, pardon, I forgot we got another group, civilians. The market adjustment for FY25 is 15%. Again, it goes into effect October 1st, the 5% step pay at the anniversary date, a total compensation of 20%. And you see how it translates into market placement. It moves our crime scene investigators from 8th place to 2nd, no change in the latent print examiners. It moves our community service aides from 6th place to 2nd. So again, based on what is before you tonight, the point in time market placement, we will maintain 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place in the Palm Beach County market across the various groups. Now, catching up to where I had jumped ahead. For fiscal years 26 and 27, the CBAs include a 3% COLA, which would become effective October 1st of the various fiscal years, and again, the 5% step pay, which translates into an 8% compensation for the last 2 fiscal years of the agreement. I want to underscore that the COLAs would be the first time COLAs were built into compensation since FY 2009, so about 15 years since we've had COLAs that we would be given. And with having the COLAs in there, we're hoping that it will help to level out how far we slide between the last 2 fiscal years and when we get back to the table. So moving right along, there are some other compensation provisions that were negotiated. In terms of retirement, we are increasing the multiplier from 3% to 3.2%. It will become effective October 1st of 2026 for members who are retiring on or after that date. And that increases the amount of the city's pension contribution to members who are retiring. And the retirement is based on a formula, but the 2 key provisions relate to salary and years of service. We added some new incentives into the mix this year, or in this CBA. If you happen to be in criminal investigators, either on the detective side or traffic homicide, or if you're working special detail, bomb squad, SWAT, dive in the honor guard, a $1,200 annual incentive, which had not been given before. And then for officers who take on the responsibility of canines that retire, a $1,500 one-time stipend to help them get them situated in terms of medical care and maintenance. Moving right along. We have some current incentives that are on the books that we made some tweaks to enhance them. Currently, officers on their take-home vehicles, there is a fuel surcharge that they pay depending on where their resident lies in relations to the job, and so it varies between $15 and $75 per pay period. When you calculate that over the 26 pay periods, by removing the surcharge, they will actually end up with the range of between $390 to almost $2,000 that they will retain in their salaries by not having to pay that fuel charge anymore. In terms of holiday pay, when officers have to work overtime, right now they get paid time and a half. Holidays are that special time that we spend with families, and for them having to give that up and to protect our cities, we're increasing that overtime from time and a half to double time. In terms of other certification pay, we have 3 different certifications for crime scene investigators, and it's a range. The low range is $300. The high end right now is $1,200. We're increasing that incentive pay by $100, so the low end range will now go up to $416, up to $1,300 on the high end, depending on which level you happen to have the certification for. So in wrapping up, the FY25 estimated cost of the CBA is $7.5 million. I want to footnote the fact that the $7.5 million is included in the FY25 balance budget that the board adopted last Monday on first reading, and it will come before you for adoption of the final reading on the 25th of this month. The 3-year estimated cost is $11.6 million. And with that, I want to end the way that I started out by thanking both negotiation teams for putting in the work, getting us to the point where we have tentative CBAs that have been ratified on the union side and is before the board for approval of Resolution 19724, which, if approved, will ratify the 2 respective collective bargaining agreements. Mayor, I'll turn it over to you, and I certainly will take any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Let me also publicly commend you, your team, as well as the negotiation teams from the FOP for landing this plane, and I think we end up with a very good deal for both sides, and hope that my fellow commissioners will agree with that. But thank you for putting in all the hard work to get us to this point. Any questions, comments? Commissioner Peduzzi?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the presentation, and I'm happy to see a lot of the changes and the increase that will enable us to attract and retain some of the best people to protect our citizens. You know, a lot happens in the city of West Palm Beach. A lot of good happens in the city, but there's some things that aren't so good that happens, and we rely on these police officers to be there for us when we need them. So I think we have to be there for them when they need us. I had a question about the Step 1 pay. Step 1, is that entry level? Is that new hire?
Yes.
And I see that we've raised that, which will help with recruitment and retention. How are the other positions affected? Are the Step 2, Step 3, do they have similar increases, or how does that work? Does it make its way up the chain?
It does. Yes.
Okay. And are we taking a look at those other steps to make sure that they're competitive in the marketplace?
Now, you correct me if I'm not accurately articulating this, but it affects it across the step pay plan. Yeah, so it's not just that, because we have steps, and they're typically, you know, is that 5% step pay between them. So when you increase the starting step, you have to also increase the other steps. So the increase in the starting steps help with recruitment that Corresponding increase in all of the ensuing steps help with retention. So it is across the board, and it keeps them at that 5% differential between the various steps.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fox.
Thank you so much for all your work on this. I'm very happy to see so many twos in the market, and very hopeful that we can continue. I think having the cost of living increases will help. It's been a long time. I know that we still have some catch up to do from where we were several years ago, but I think the cost of living each year will help keep it so that we don't lag behind the way that we have in the past. So I'm just very happy to see that. I'm curious, you had mentioned something about some mid-year negotiations that I don't know if you were alluding to. Is there an option for additional negotiations once we hear what the other municipalities and how their negotiations are going?
No, no. We don't intend to do mid-year negotiations. My point in bringing that up, and let me clarify, that while we hold the covenant positions right now of the second, third, and fourth place, if another municipality chooses to do a mid-year adjustment, that may affect our placement. I'm not intimating that we're going to come back to the table mid-year.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I'm very happy to see where we're headed and appreciate all of the work on this.
President Ward.
Oh, I was good, but I didn't understand, your response was that you weren't going to negotiate? I'm just kidding. I didn't actually have a comment. Just liveliness for a Monday.
You had a joke?
Yeah, every once in a while.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have any cards for this one? All right, if there are no other questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of resolution number 19724.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 8.2, resolution number 202-24F, authorizing the allocation of $13,946 in parking meter revenues derived from the recaptured revenues from parking meters equipped with vehicle detection sensors to the Department of Housing and Community Development to fund various homeless initiatives. Mr. Fana.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioner. Armando Fana, Assistant City Administrator, and I'm standing in for Mr. Ed Davis, who was not able to make it at the last moment. But this is actually a program that started when I was within HCD, or shortly after I left. And it is within the city we have nearly 800, right? Yeah, no, actually nearly 600 meters that have parking sensors on them for vehicle sensors that can sense when a vehicle leaves. And those dollars that somebody puts into a meter, they don't go to the next person if they have those sensors. They basically get recaptured. And so since 2018, we've been taking those recaptured dollars for the year and then basically donating them from the parking revenue fund into HCD for homeless prevention programs. And so for this period from May 2023 through April 2024, we collected $13,946, which will now go to HCD for their homeless prevention programs. And actually, it's perfect timing because you will be hearing from HCD in another agenda item. They'll be talking about their programs that they currently have. So this resolution simply approves the moving of the dollars from the parking revenue fund to HCD. With that, I'll take any questions.
Very good. Thank you for that presentation. Any questions or comments, commissioners? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, move approval of resolution number 20224F.
Thank you. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 9.1, public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 5109-24, amending the City of West Palm Beach Code of Ordinances, Chapter 78, Article 15, to revise the duration for which right-of-way permits may be issued and to correct scrivener's errors.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Kevin Volbrecht, Director of Engineering Services. This is the second reading, and there have been no changes since the last reading 2 weeks ago.
Very good. Any questions, Commissioner Fox?
Thank you so much, Kevin. I just wanted to reiterate some of the things that you mentioned in the last meeting and also in our agenda review, just about whether or not the engineering department would still come back to us if there were sort of high-profile roads that would be included so that we can mitigate any issues, with community outreach and things like that, to just give us a heads up on that.
Yes, that would take place.
Great, thank you.
President Ward.
And I know you all communicate, and obviously, I know, like the mayor's office, you guys send road closure updates, but what's the process? You guys communicate directly with our communications department to get that out? Do we contact, just thinking about even just in my district right now, all the construction that's going on, are we contacting other departments and CRAs and merchants associations just to let everybody know, especially if businesses are shut down?
Yes, we would work definitely with the Diana Papadakis department if we need to make out some sort of a more elaborate notification of something that's going to be taking place coming up.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, move approval of ordinance number 510924 on second reading.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Very good. It's been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5109-24, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending the City of West Palm Beach Code of Ordinances at Chapter 78, Streets, Sidewalks, and Public Places, Article 15, Public Right-of-Way of Use, Public Right-of-Way Use, Section 78-433, Permit Conditions, to amend the duration for which right-of-way permits may be issued, and at Section 78-436, to clarify the provisions regarding revocation of permits, and to correct scrivener's errors, providing for codification, conflicts, and severability, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 9.2, public hearing and first reading of ordinance number 5111-24, amending Chapter 54 to repeal aggressive solicitation regulations and to amend public camping and sleeping regulations to be consistent with case law and 2024 amendments to Section 125 Florida statutes. Ms. Rothenberg.
Good evening. Kimberly Rothenberg, City Attorney. I am here to present ordinance number 511124 to you, but before we do that, we wanted to have Ms. Ferriel, the Director of Housing and Community Development, come up and talk to you about some outreach that's happened before the proposed changes before you and other measures that their office has been taking with people in need.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rothenberg. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, members of the public. Jennifer Ferriel, Housing and Community Development Director. I want to thank the Mayor and the City Administrator for giving us the opportunity to talk about how we're addressing homelessness in this format. Oftentimes, our efforts get lost in some salacious stories, so we're really happy to be able to tell our residents and the members of our community all of the work that our staff is currently undertaking. So under the Department of Housing and Community Development, we have a division known as the Community Services Division. And that division is currently located at the Eva Mack Hub, which we opened early last year. And the purpose of this division is to primarily offer a one-stop location which offers services to homeless individuals. We have other types of services that are provided just to the community at large, but a grand area of focus is to support homeless households. We have a total of 10 full-time equivalents that are dedicated to these types of services. That's inclusive of a community services manager. We have a fully dedicated outreach team consisting of 4 outreach staff with a supervisor. We have 2 staff personnel dedicated specifically to rental assistance programs, and then 2 other staff that are also dedicated to allocation of resources and other types of services services and programs. Our annual budget, just in salaries and benefits alone, is in excess of $800,000. And I want to say this, that it's very important to highlight that we are the only municipality in Palm Beach County that has its own dedicated homeless services team, other than Palm Beach County, of course. I believe Delray has one individual in the police department. There's some nonprofits that have an outreach team, but we are the only one outside of Palm Beach County, and we are absolutely the largest in providing direct homeless services. We also set aside some funding, about $300,000 in operational and programming cost. This helps support some of the programs and efforts that we'll talk about in the next slide. And I want to point out that this budget does not include any potential funding that we have for rental assistance programs. We use SHIP dollars or State Housing Initiative program dollars. We also use some of our HUD funding as well, and any other general fund or housing trust fund dollars to support rental programs. I think it's important to highlight to the members of the community what exactly is it that our staff does, and what is it that we don't do? Because sometimes our efforts, there's a specific expectation of our team that doesn't necessarily fit with what our goal and what our mission is. So it's important to highlight. First and foremost, our street outreach team, and as it relates to that specific area of responsibility, we are here to connect with the homeless individuals on the streets, meet them where they are, and connect them to a variety of resources and housing programs throughout the county. We're there to provide basic needs, we support resident concerns, but we're really there to establish long-lasting relationships with the homeless population so that then we could connect them to those services. And oftentimes, those individuals have some issues with trust, and they want to make sure that we build that trust with them, and that's so essential to the work that we do. I want to make it very clear, we're not here to enforce any laws or encampments or anything related to public feedings or sleeping in public places. We are not the police department. That is not an area of responsibility of our team. Our outreach team is to connect individuals to services. We can't provide, sometimes we want to, but we can't provide instant results. It takes time to build these relationships. It takes time to locate the adequate resources. And while we've been lucky in some situations where we're able to do that, it's not often the case. As it relates to housing assistance programs, there are a variety of housing programs that we undertake either internally or where we partner with other organizations. Of course, emergency shelter, working with the Lewis Center, Gulfstream Goodwill, to providing individuals with emergency shelter options. We have various rental assistance programs internally that we administer ourselves, but we also partner with Palm Beach County and other organizations. We have permanent supportive housing, transitional housing. We have paid for emergency hotel stays where needed. That's where some of those programmatic and operational budget line items, we use some of that funding for emergency hotel stays. I want to highlight too, from an eviction protection, that's one of the areas that we want to go back and really evaluate, because oftentimes we focus so much on being reactive to the issues that we don't place emphasis on our need to be proactive. So we are looking at some eviction protection programs that we've used to have, but we have to bring that back and make sure we're providing that service as well. We have a Homeward Bound program. Oh, and I want to say that we can't guarantee immediate placement. Again, housing supply is limited. We all know that there's a huge emphasis in our community at large, but a huge priority of the mayor is affordable and workforce housing development. So oftentimes we have a short supply of housing, so we can't always guarantee immediate placement into housing and or shelter. We have relocation services, so we have our Homeward Bounds program, where if we identify an individual where we're able to locate another family or household member or a loved one in another location, only if we're able to identify that person and they're willing to take the individual into their homes, will we provide either bus, we've done also airplane, or we've also done trains, some sort of transportation so that we can relocate them with their loved one. We are not here irresponsibly busing people to other locations. We've seen that throughout the nation. We want to make sure that we are responsible in the management of this program. Of course, we connect individuals to services and resources throughout the county, whether it's mental health or healthcare services, substance abuse. We connect them to food assistance programs, SNAP benefits, employment, or any type of assistance that's needed for these individuals to get their the resources needed to move forward. Again, we don't have immediate solutions for everyone in need, although we'd like to. A lot of our time and emphasis is just on getting folks ready for this progression and for them moving forward with their lives. And from a community engagement and a coordination with other providers, obviously we address all the concerns of WPB key. Anytime there is a resident or a business that has witnessed a homeless individual that may need some assistance, we respond to those needs. We work very hand in hand with the police department. There are times where the police department may need our support to be able to, compassionately support an individual. We'll coordinate with Palm Beach County. They're a great partner of ours, and we really rely on them for their support as well. And of course, conducting community education. I do various presentations like the one I'm doing here today. We did a presentation to the DDA, Downtown Development Authority, a few weeks ago on this exact subject matter. So we want to educate the public on all that we are doing. I want to provide you with a sample homeless outreach calendar so that you can see that we have a pretty robust schedule of specific locations where we will conduct outreach. We also have staff that are in the library almost every single day other than Fridays, that they're also conducting outreach in the library. We've had this program for quite some time. But this outreach calendar, which it is subject to change, let's say, we're scheduled to be at the South End Parks, but there's really no activity going on at that point. We're not going to spend our time just hanging out there. We're going to go to where the need is, right? If there is an emergency where Mayor, there's an issue with a constituent where you get a phone call and we have to address that situation, we reprioritize. But for the most part, we have a calendar that we try to stick to, unless, of course, there's a different need in a different location. One of the areas, or one of the outreach that we started to do is a business outreach program. And we just started this last month, because we realized, and we knew that this was an area of deficiency of ours, but we knew that we needed to do more outreach with our residents and with our businesses. A lot of folks don't know the services that we're providing. They're unaware of all that the city is doing. And, oftentimes the good work that we're doing the media doesn't pick up those stories. So it is our job to go out there and let folks know that the services are being provided, that they can reach out to us. They don't always have to call the police department, that we are there as a resource to them as well. So we started doing this program last month, and to date we have reached over 100 businesses. Right now we're just primarily focusing in downtown and Northwood, just because those are the areas where there's a high concentration of homeless individuals, but we do plan to expand that in other areas where needed. Commissioners, what many of you have seen has been for quite some time now, and I'll be honest, some months I forget, and our team does a great job of completing these homeless update reports, but we do provide reports to you on a monthly basis on the efforts that we have undertaken, how many people we have engaged with, how many walk-ins we served at the Eva Mack building, individuals who may have refused services, because that does happen. We do have folks, and no matter how much we try to assist them, they do refuse our services. So we try to give you a little bit of a snapshot of the different programs and the different efforts that we have made in that particular month, as well as highlighting some success stories. I wish I had time to tell you all of the great success stories and all the effort that it takes just to housing one individual or supporting one individual. It takes a lot of our staff, and we're proud of those successes. I want to talk a little bit also about just some of the other accomplishments and outcomes. And I just go back over the past 5 years, Mayor, since the beginning of your term. And I want to point out, because again, we don't always get to highlight these successes. So since the number has increased, because I'm only taking a snapshot of April 2019 to April 2024. Mayor, there's a typo. That's on me. It says 2025. So on over 598 occasions, we have either housed or placed an individual into a shelter. That's 119 occasions on average annually. I say occasions because we may have placed the same individual into shelter more than once, or we may have housed that individual more than once. We have relocated 374 chronically homeless and have relocated them to a loved one in another city through our Homeward Bound program. That's the program I previously discussed. On a monthly basis, we're conducting outreach throughout different areas of the city, including parks, neighborhood targeted locations. As you know, we opened up the new Eva Mac Community Hub in late 2023, and we provide hundreds of walk-ins on a monthly basis. Mayor, this has been one of your most critical goals. In under 3 years, we did develop or have under construction 600 units of affordable and workforce housing, and we are very committed to providing an additional 800 units by the end of the mayor's first term. All of these accomplishments are in support of our homeless individuals. I want to also point out that as it relates to the proposed ordinance changes that are going to be discussed here today, our staff has already been engaging with the homeless population, that this is a potential enforcement or a potential ordinance that's coming forward. They're very aware that it's happening. We are taking a lot of efforts to house as many individuals as possible. I'm not prepared to share this news right now, but we are taking on a huge effort to house a significant amount of individuals into a specific location. These are people who are on the streets, not just in their cars, but they're on the streets and they're in our parks, in our neighborhoods. And I look forward to sharing that information or that program with you. It's been a huge collaboration with Palm Beach County Housing Authority, Palm Beach County, and our staff to house these individuals. We will continue with these efforts, and that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you for that presentation. Go back to slide 3. You had a column there that, yeah, there we go. No, maybe it's the next one. There we go.
Okay.
It's page 2. All right, so we had a column there. You didn't really talk about it, but I think it's important that we understand what it is you can't do and what it is we can't do. And I think that the very last line on that particular column, we can't guarantee complete elimination of homelessness as much as we would love to. And I say this all the time. Homelessness is not just a West Palm Beach problem. It is not just a Palm Beach County problem. It is indeed a national problem. I was in Seattle last week, and they too are struggling with the homeless situation in a major, major way. But I am proud of the work that you and your team are doing. The fact that we, as the capital city of this county, are, I think, doing more than our share to address the homeless situation in our city, and the public should be aware of that. Now, we continue to get calls and emails. What are you doing about the homeless? What are you doing about the homeless? And many people would love if we could just sweep the homeless away and folks wouldn't have to see them or be confronted by them. Unfortunately, no, I don't say unfortunately. No, we don't do that. That's not who we are as a city. And we'll continue to work hard to try to match the homeless people with services. But we are putting our money where our mouth is. We're putting full-time employees on the street to help. And so I'm very proud of that work. There's more to be done. Certainly understand that. But I think the public needs to understand how much we are putting into this effort. And so thank you to you and your team. Questions, comments? Commissioner Peduzzi, President Ward, and Commissioner Fox. Commissioner Peduzzi.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree 100% with your comments. I sing the praises of the city to everyone who will listen, everyone who comes to me and says, what are we doing about the homeless? And I start with, we are doing more than anyone else, but it still may not be enough. We can't, even though we're the capital city and we lead the charge probably in a lot of areas that are important to our residents. We can't be the only one doing it, and we've got to, put some of this burden on, not that it's a burden, but it is a burden in terms of the amount of work involved in outreach. Some of these other municipalities in the county have to step up to the plate. Can't just be the city of West Palm Beach. We do such a great job with the 10 people we have, and I tell everyone all the time that we really do so well that people come to the city of West Palm Beach for services. And we're doing it almost so well that we are attracting people from other locations. And so I think we just have to be careful and turn it around on the other municipalities and the county and say, hey, we can't do it alone. We need your help. But conversely, we have to make sure that we're enforcing laws that are already on the books. And I understand that we have to repeal this ordinance out of necessity, but we have to make sure that we are enforcing laws otherwise, and that our homeless population or our office, population or our residents can't be doing things that are illegal. And even if you're homeless, it doesn't mean we're not going to enforce the law equally with respect to that portion of our population. And I just want to make sure that we've got some sort of plan going forward, because aggressive panhandling is a real problem in the city. My family, friends, people avoid downtown sometime because of that, or at least the thought that there's going to be aggressive panhandling. So we just have to take some steps to make sure that we remain the vibrant place for people to come and patronize our businesses.
Commissioner Fonks.
Thank you so much for everything that your team is doing. I agree. I also sing your praises. You and I both live downtown, and I think it's different when you're living downtown because people come up to you on the street or in Publix and feel like they can tell you, give you a piece of their mind. But I want you to know that you are doing an amazing job. It's hard because obviously all the services that people need are located downtown. If you need a Social Security card or benefits or whatever it is, the homeless come here, and many times they realize how great it is here and they want to stay, and they would have to come back the next month for their benefits again and things like that. So I think the job that you have in front of you is really, it's different than in other municipalities, and I just thank you so much for continuing every day to do what you do. I really appreciate the newsletter that you put out, and I'm curious if there's a way that we can, is there a sign up that we can introduce our residents to make sure that they're getting that information each month as well? Just continuing to highlight the work that we are doing to remind people that that the work is getting done and will continue to get done.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have to do, I'll take full responsibility. We have to do a better job of providing this on a continual basis to the communications director. It should be included in the mayor's newsletter. What we started doing with our business outreach program was we're taking everybody's email. So everybody's information that we obtain, we now send them the newsletter as well. The DDA is helping us to promote this update report as well, so they're going to be sharing it with their constituents. So we're taking extra efforts because we haven't done a good job, and I say we, I mean me, we haven't done a good job at really publicizing our efforts in the best way possible. And Commissioner and Mayor, there's been a lot of praise in our department, and it's our staff. It's not me. They're the ones out there doing the hard work. Ali's, who is here, who many of you are familiar with, and all of the 9 other employees, they're the ones that are really doing the hard job. Mine is a lot easier in compared to what they do and what they have to deal with every day. So I want to make that clear that all of the kudos goes to them.
President Ward.
Thank you. And I constantly am in communication and praising the work that you all are doing. And, I include your homeless services update in actually just this past Friday when I sent out my newsletter, we included that. And I think it's important, and I get feedback on it, and I get residents saying, thank you for giving this information. And so however we can continue to email people and let people know, I'm trying. And I don't mean to get too much into the weeds on this, but I'm curious and I don't know if my other commissioners or mayor know that the healthcare district started the initiative with working with mental health services, and their clinic on 45th Street is now an intake for mental health services, working with Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, West Palm Beach Police, and trying to identify. And I wanted to share that with you all because I feel like I was asked about where there are mental health services in the area, and I was in a community meeting recently, and I was like, well, actually right down the street, and I guess I need to be doing a better job about making sure people are aware of that. And I, just for everyone's edification, there's no money in this. There's no money in mental health services. And so a lot of these places are closing. And that leads to an issue where, okay, well now government needs to step in, because if the private sector isn't going to do it, someone has to. So I'm happy that the healthcare district has stepped in and is trying to make that a 24/7 facility. But I'm curious, given that it's been open, have you guys received anybody who has said, hey, yes, because we can't force them, right? They have to say yes. Do you know of any of those situations where, yes, they've taken it up and they've come to that facility or otherwise to get services?
Well, I'll tell you this, that pilot program, Commissioner, that you're discussing, it's a program with the police department, and they're the ones that are really taking that part forward. I will tell you this, we do a lot of referrals to that center as well, and I'll have Ally, if you can answer that question, you should have more information.
Ally Severino, Homeless Services Supervisor, City of West Palm Beach. So we're really grateful that we not only get to go out, we have a recovery peer who comes out with us twice a week from Healthcare District. So we are making direct referrals from the street during outreach. We also have a clinic at St. Anne Place where we can connect them as well. But I know that there have been multiple individuals who have been brought to Healthcare District by PD who have accepted the help. And we have all collaborated together to make sure they receive any other assistance they may need. So it is working.
Good, awesome, thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Ferriero before we return to the city attorney? Okay, thank you again for that presentation.
Thank you, Mayor.
Ms. Rothenberg.
Thank you. So we got to talk about the work that we've done to keep up with the needs and to provide services, but we also have work to keep up with the law and what the law requires, because just as the needs for services change, so do the needs to keep up with the law, and that's my piece, probably not as much fun as Jennifer's, but I'm here to share with you what this proposed ordinance does. So quickly, we're going to touch on two portions of the ordinance that are being changed. One is Division 2 that deals with aggressive panhandling, and the second is Division 3 that deals with conduct in the parks. The first part is the aggressive solicitation, and as I said, the law is changing over time. The law started changing with the United States Supreme Court case of Reed versus Town of Gilbert. In that case, they were dealing specifically with sign code regulations, but the way they changed the law changed the way that we as governments have to look at, is the speech content neutral or content based? If it's content neutral, it has to survive what's called strict scrutiny under the First Amendment, and if it's content neutral, then it has to survive an intermediate scrutiny. We're looking at the strict scrutiny standard, and all of the courts who have applied Reed versus Gilbert to cases that came before them to date that I've been able to find and to review have found those panhandling regulations similar to ours to be unconstitutional content-based regulations. Our circuit, federal circuit, is the 11th Circuit. They have not spoken, but two of the lower federal circuits in Florida, the Southern District and the Middle District, have found similar regulations within Florida to be unconstitutional. Therefore, we recommend repealing our aggressive panhandling solicitation regulations. But with that, the police department will continue to apply statutory laws that address specific conduct that would also be unlawful, like assault, battery, robbery, theft. If those things occur and there's probable cause for an arrest of the citizenry, the police department will be able to address that conduct. Moving on to public camping and sleeping, the next thing that happened recently in the law is we again have been preempted in the regulation of camping and sleeping. So this is the preemption language highlighted in yellow. Cities and counties may not authorize or otherwise allow any person to regularly engage in public camping or sleeping on any public property. So that's what we're faced with, and that's what the next section of provisions will address. So the ordinance before you redefines camping and lodging to mirror the statutory definition of camping and lodging so that we are in line with what the state of Florida is requiring of counties and cities throughout the state. Public places was also tweaked to align with what the state statute calls public places. It's more inclusive so that our police officers know specifically what areas are public property that that individuals will not be allowed to camp or sleep in according to the definition of the state statute. So the prohibited conduct will also remove the provision. In our regulations currently, we have provisions that require our police officers to first notify that the conduct they're engaged in is unlawful, and to conduct outreach to see what the needs of the people are, and also to check and see whether or not shelter is available before they can issue a notice to appear or make an arrest. That language is being removed from the regulations because it was there shortly before this summer's opinion of the United States Supreme Court again, that previously certain federal circuits had said that it's a violation of the Eighth Amendment to arrest someone for sleeping in public without ensuring that sufficient shelter was available. This sentiment of the law, or statement of the law, that was a mixed statement between the circuits, the United States Supreme Court said is not the law. It is not a violation of the Eighth Amendment to arrest or to otherwise enforce regulations that prohibit sleeping and camping in public. So that those provisions have been removed. And this provision, like our other provisions that make things unlawful within the city, are subject to notice to appear and or an arrest. They're subject to a fine of up to $500 or jail time of up to 60 days or both, depending on what the court deems as appropriate. And based on the changes in case law and general law, our statutory preemptions, the Office of the City Attorney recommends approval of ordinance number 5111-24, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation. Questions, President Ward?
Thank you. Given obviously this is, we've known about this for a while, what's our communication like with, obviously, if someone does get arrested because of this ordinance, what's our communication like with the sheriff's office and the jails? I mean, do they have a plan for a potential influx and people that are going to get arrested because of this ordinance?
I think I'm going to turn it over to Chief Adderley. I know that he has an answer to that question because he's been posed that same question, and I heard the response, but he's the better person to respond.
Thank goodness he's here for us.
Mr. Mayor, City Commissioners, Frank Adderley, Police Chief. The question is about the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office detention. We've done several operations recently. We haven't had any issues with it. It went smooth, and I'm being told it's going to continue to be the same.
Can you describe a little bit more detail what the operations were in terms of?
Oh, yeah. It was addressing certain type of misdemeanor offenses, some of these ordinances pertaining to sleeping and the ones that would probably be more enforced after October 1. And the cooperation with the sheriff has been nothing but great, and it's my understanding and talking to them, it's going to continue to be that way.
Any other questions, comments? Commissioner Fox?
Thank you so much, Chief. This was a question I think Commissioner Ward had during an agenda review, but I'll just ask it here. In terms of your police officers on the street, how will they be, I guess, how will you communicate these new changes with them just to make sure that the people that are actually doing the enforcement understand what the new rules are?
Well, see, we have our daily briefings. People that work the street, they attend briefings in the mornings and the evenings. They're aware of all the new changes. Every time we have a change in the statute, those things are being discussed in briefing. We have the sergeants and the lieutenants that run those shifts to ensure that those enforcement efforts are going to be made.
We also had, meaning administration, also had a all hands on deck meeting a couple of weeks ago to talk about the impact of this new ordinance and what our response would be. We had obviously police, HCD, legal, and other affected departments to make sure we're all on the same page. And I think we have a very good course of action moving ahead. And we're optimistic, cautiously optimistic, that as we start enforcing and taking the action that we're taking, it may make West Palm Beach less hospitable, if you will, to the unhoused community, and we'll see if there's an improvement. And we have agreed to get back together in about another 30 days after October 1st, so at the beginning of November, to see if we're noticing any changes there. We'll continue to be in communication with the county and understand what they're doing, and to try to be collaborative with as many of these other municipalities, the county, as possible, because it's not just a West Palm Beach problem. It really is a countywide problem, and hopefully we could bring in fiscal resources from the state as well. So we will continue to monitor this. This isn't a one-off. Yes, we're changing the law, but this is going to require, because it's going to be a new normal, it's going to require consistent and persistent diligence and attention to see how things are progressing. Any other questions? President Ward?
This is for legal. Thanks, Chief. This is separate than people living in their cars, correct?
Yes, the state law precludes the vehicles from the definition of public camping or lodging.
Okay,
So
thank you.
it's an exclusion.
Any other questions, comments? We do have a card. Casey Klein.
Good evening, Commissioners and Ms. Johnson. How are you? Nice to see you. Casey Klein, 196 Belmont Road. Also property owner of 2025 North Dixie Highway, most notably adjacent to St. Anne's, and soon to be hopefully the Paddle Club, which we all expect you to see. I just first want to commend Chief Adderley and also Ms. Ferriel for all their efforts. We've worked with them hand in hand since our acquisition of the property over 2-3 years ago in trying to, what many would say, be a large encampment that sits outside of St. Anne's. And I'm pleased to say that we've seen through our investment, a multi-million-dollar investment, but also the help of the city, Ms. Ferriel and Chief Adderley, a wonderful improvement to that street through our community walkthroughs to my business neighbors, but also my resident neighbors who I've really developed a strong relationship with. And we've just seen a dramatic improvement, but this ordinance is that important to continue that. And I think Commissioner Peduzzi said it very well. West Palm does a great job of offering all the services that everyone wants, and we are making it very attractive, but hopefully with the proper enforcement and this new ordinance and the repeal of this ordinance and going forward following state law, we could continue our improvement. Not to say that we'll ever fully eradicate homelessness, unfortunately, but we can make West Palm and our neighborhood a little less attractive. So thank you very much, and thank you for your support.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, move approval of ordinance number 51124 on first reading and schedule second reading for September 30th, 2024.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5111-24, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 54, offenses to repeal Article 4, offenses against public peace, Division 2, aggressive solicitation, and to amend Division 3, prohibited conduct, Sections 54-146 through 54-147 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, providing a codification clause, providing a conflicts and severability clause, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 9.3, public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 5106-24, a request by Shane Brodnix of Urban Design Studio on behalf of WPB Press LLC for a future land use map amendment to change the future land use designation of 8.39 of the overall 11.57 acres of the subject area consisting of 2 parcels located at 2751 South Dixie Highway and 501 Monceau Road from Commercial C to Commercial East CE.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, members of the public, and Volsi, Planner Development Services. Item 9.3 and 10.1, we'd like to request that they run together.
Okay. Do you have a presentation?
Yes.
We do have another even though it's second reading, we're going to do another presentation?
Well, we have the resolution as part of the second reading. So last meeting, it was a discussion for
Right, okay.
162-24.
Well, why don't we, since you're not doing a separate presentation, we'll just do separate items, right? Approvals. So we'll do 9.1 now, and then we'll go into 10.1.
Okay,
Because that's what the resolution is,
yes,
right? Okay, we're on 9.1 now.
perfect. 9.3.
Any
now.
changes since first reading?
No changes.
Okay, I'm sorry, 9.3. I'm sorry, we're on 9.3 now.
Yes.
Any questions or comments on item 9.3? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 510624, changing the future land use designation of approximately 8.39 acres of the overall approximately 11.57 acre parcel located at 2751 South Dixie Highway and 501 Monceau Road from commercial to commercial east. This motion is based on the application submitted, the staff report, factual testimony, the recommendation of the planning board, and the findings that the request complies with the provisions of Chapter 163 Florida statutes and policies 1.1.5 and 1.1.6 of the city's comprehensive plan based on changed assumptions.
Thank you. For that motion, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5106-24, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, by changing the future land use designation of 8.3 of the overall 11.57 acres of the subject area consisting of 2 parcels located at 2751 South Dixie Highway and 501 Monceau Road, from Commercial C to Commercial East CE, declaring the proposed amendment to the future land use map to be consistent with all other elements of the comprehensive plan of the city, providing for an effective date and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Now, we will turn to the public hearing, quasi-judicial section of our meeting. Commissioners, I will need you to make your disclosures, please. President Ward.
As to item 10.1, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
Commissioner Peduzzi.
As to item 10.1, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation, not made a site visit, nor have I received any expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made a part of the record.
Commissioner Fox.
As to item 10.1, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
Okay, Madam Clerk, can you swear in all witnesses, please?
Well, would everyone wishing to speak on item 10.1 please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Now, item 10.1, public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 5107-24 regarding a rezoning to change the zoning designation of approximately 11.57 acres located at 2751 South Dixie Highway and 501 Monceau Road from General Commercial, GC, to Commercial Plan Development, CPD, and public hearing of resolution number 162-24 regarding the development regulations for the Shops at the Press Commercial Plan Development and granting a waiver of the zoning and land development regulations. All right.
Thank you. So for ordinance number 5107-24, there's been no changes since the first reading, and the applicant will be doing a short presentation on resolution number 162-24.
Very good, thank you. Any questions for staff before? Okay, we'll hear from the applicant.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. For the record, Joni Brinkman with Urban Design Studio on behalf of the applicant, WPB Press, LLC. My presentation is really repetitive as well, so I am happy to give it to you. I'll just run through. It's really just adding the resolution. As you're aware, you all already approved on first reading the land use and rezoning. And I'm just going to whip through here to the slides that are applicable. The changes really are in regards to you are actually approving tonight Resolution 16224, which allows for the approval of the waiver for the required parking spaces of 877 to be reduced to 749, which is a result of 128 spaces. This allows for the new use, which is also part of this resolution approval, of the Palm Beach Atlantic University to occupy space within the existing Palm Beach Post building. Based on the evidence presented by Kimley Horn, a parking study, and the review of your professional staff, your staff is in agreement that this is an acceptable waiver, and we have support for that. I don't really have anything else to add unless you have some questions. Again, it's pretty repetitive from the first presentation.
Very good, thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Okay. Staff, did you want to weigh in on the resolution itself? Okay, please. Thank you, Ms. Franklin. Okay, they're not showing up on our screens. There we go, okay.
So ordinance 5106-24, that was recommended approval, sorry. Ordinance number 5107, staff recommends approval as it complies with section 94-32A of the zoning standards, complies with section 94-207D for commercial and industrial plan development district provisions and requirements, and also we're recommending approval of resolution 162-24. And that concludes my presentation.
Very good. Any questions for staff? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I actually technically have a question. Am I reading
You have a
these
question?
separately? Am I reading these separately? Like, am I?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The ordinance first, please.
All right.
We don't have to do roll call, do we?
Thank goodness.
You do not have to do roll call.
All right, I just want to make sure I'm up on things. Okay.
Appreciate you. Okay, Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 510724, or rezoning to change the zoning designation of approximately 11.57 acres located at 2751 South Dixie Highway and 501 Monsu Road from general commercial to commercial planned development. This motion is based upon the application submitted, the staff report, factual testimony, the recommendation of the planning board, and the findings of the request complies with the comprehensive plan and the standards of section 9432 of the city's zoning and land development regulations.
Second.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second. Discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5107-24, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending the zoning map of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, by rezoning two parcels located at 2751 South Dixie Highway and 501 Monceau Road, consisting of approximately 11.57 acres from general commercial GC to commercial plan development CPD to create the shops at the Press commercial plan development, declaring this zoning map amendment to be consistent with the comprehensive plan of the city, revising the zoning map of the city accordingly, providing for an effective date and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. President Ward?
Mayor, I move approval of resolution number 16224, establishing development regulations and conditions for the shops at the Press Commercial Plan Development, CBD, and granting a waiver from the zoning and land development regulations.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you all. Okay, then we'll now turn to comments from the public. I do have one card, Mike Schmidt.
That's okay. I'll waive it.
It's okay, okay. He waives his right to come in. All right, thank you. All right, Commissioners, we'll now turn to those on the dais, beginning with you, President Ward.
Thank you. During our moment of silence, I was thinking about Officer Jeremy Boykins, who passed away last week, and I just wanted to publicly send my condolences. We've talked about it at a couple community meetings where there was a teacher who used to teach him, neighbors that knew him, and obviously officers that worked with him, and I just want to send my condolences. He had a family, young children, and it's just very, very sad for our city, and so I wanted to publicly send my condolences to his family and all the officers who worked with him. On a lighter note, this Friday, I've announced it a couple times, is Nights on Northwood Village. That's Friday, September 20th from 6 to 9 in Northwood Village. Please come out and support local. It should be a night fun. The CRA has been working very hard with the Merchants Association to make it a wonderful event. So if you're around, please attend again this Friday, September 20th from 6 to 9. And also coming back this year is the Fall Festival at Gaines Park. It's hosted by our wonderful Parks and Rec department. I've been in previous years, and it is so much fun, and there are so many children that attend. It's at Sunday, October 27th, so a couple days before Halloween, from 4 to 7, and they are looking for sponsors for just $100. They can contact the Gaines Park Community Center, or even if you want to contact my office, and we can point you in the right direction. It's a small fee, and if you want to partake and advertise your business, there will be a lot of children walking around with their parents looking for candy. And then lastly, I want to wish a very happy birthday to my wonderful aide, Nurlan. I know I'm a week early, but we don't have a commission meeting next week, and I wanted to declare it publicly. I hope you have the best birthday, and thank you for everything you do. My office runs so much smoother because of you. My residents love you, and I love you myself, so I hope you have a wonderful birthday. Yes.
That's so lovely.
I know, right? I can be nice sometimes. All right, that's it.
Commissioner Peduzzi, you want to follow that?
Thank you, Mayor.
What is your aide's birthday? Oh my
Put me
God.
on the spot
I'm
like
sorry.
that. I would also like to recognize the passing of Officer Boykins. My understanding, he was just a tremendous and dedicated member of our police department, and it's just so sad. I was trying to look up here after you had mentioned it. I know that there's a service for him coming up, hoping that Commissioner Fox has it, which it looks like she does, at Family Church coming up in the next week or so. So she'll be able to.
Saturday at noon.
Perfect. Thank you. These police officers do so much to keep us safe, and it's a stressful job, and both physically and mentally. And unfortunately, things like this sometimes happen, and certainly Officer Boykins and his family will remain in our thoughts and prayers. At the same time, and I'm sure Commissioner Fox is also going to mention this, I want to recognize the passing this weekend of Royal Palm Beach Mayor Fred Pinto. Mayor Pinto, Commissioner Fox, and I all served on the Transportation Planning Agency for Palm Beach County. And while Mayor Pinto and I did not always see eye to eye, and would occasionally go at it on the dais, I never once thought that he wasn't dedicated to the people of Royal Palm Beach and to the county. And he worked hard for the betterment of everyone, and he will be missed. So thank you.
Commissioner Fox.
Thank you, Mayor. I echo those sentiments. Officer Boykins, I send my very best to his family. It's such a tremendous loss. I think that he had so much love and potential with his colleagues, and it's just such a hard loss for them. 2 losses this year of young men that really had such a bright future, and I am sending just my best wishes to his family and his colleagues. And as you mentioned, the celebration of life will be this Saturday at Family Church downtown at noon. And also sending my condolences to Mayor Pinto's family. We it's been interesting on the TPA. You know, we don't always see eye to eye on the issues of the roads that the residents of West Palm Beach might be against and the people in the western communities might be supporting. But he really loved and had so much passion for Royal Palm Beach. He's been serving there since 2003. He was on the village council and he has been mayor since 2016. So he was recently reelected, and I know this is just a really hard loss for his community, and sending my best to them. On a happier note, Mayor, I saw in your newsletter that Mary Pinnock from our community events team is celebrating her 35th anniversary with the city of West Palm Beach this year, and I had the chance to watch the video that you posted. Cheryl did a great video just about all the many events that Mary has either worked on or created herself over the past 35 years, and she is one of the most creative people I've ever met. And I meet so many people that are residents downtown that say that it's one of the reasons that they stay in West Palm, that they live in West Palm, is because of the events and the community things, that they don't have to always have camps for kids. There's so many activities going on downtown, and she's just really a treasure. So hopefully she'll stay with us for another 35 years, but I thank her for everything that she's done for the first 35 that she's been here. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. I too want to certainly acknowledge the loss of Officer Boykin. Just, you know, what's that song? The good ones died too young, or somebody saying that. But he was a good one, and he certainly left us too soon. Also, condolences to the family of Fred Pinto. I shared some professional, I guess, disagreements, as the two of you had, particularly on the extension of State Road 7, but he was a classy man. We could disagree without being disagreeable most of the time. I'm sorry. No, he was a good man. Very proud to announce and looking forward to the 33rd Annual Athena Leadership Awards Luncheon, which is this Wednesday at the Kravitz Center. And for those who don't know, this is a chamber event that celebrates the remarkable contributions of women in leadership throughout our county. Very proud to share that our very own city administrator, Faye Johnson, has been selected as a finalist in the leadership category. And our Director of Housing and Community Development, Jennifer Ferrier, who we all heard from earlier, is also a finalist in the Young Professional category. So congratulations, Ms. Johnson, and to Ms. Ferrier in her absence for this amazing recognition.
Thank you.
Also on Wednesday, September 18th, is an exciting evening of jazz featuring Spirit of Oya. As part of our Soul in the City series, this jazz vocalist will captivate with sounds of soulful jazz, soul, and gospel as she weaves joy, love, and positivity into every note. Did y'all get that? That was, okay. I was practicing my radio voice. The event takes place at the Lake Pavilion, 101 South Flagler, from 7 to 9 p.m. Please visit WPB.org for more details because tickets are still available. Join us as we celebrate National Hispanic Heritage Month on September 15th to October 15th. Don't miss Nights in Northwood Village, as President Ward mentioned, which is Friday from 6 to 9. To celebrate National Drive Electric Week, West Palm Beach's sustainability team is hosting a Drive Electric WPB Electric Vehicle Expo on Saturday, September 28th at the Howard Park Softball Parking Lot from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Come discover the cost-effective and eco-friendly world of electric vehicles and have all your questions answered by EV experts. Plus, enjoy free giveaways. This family-friendly event is free to attend. And yes, your four-legged friends are welcome too. Gear up, everyone, because the West Palm Beach Green Market will reopen for its 30th season on Saturday, October 5th, which isn't that far away. The market is open 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays from October to April on the West Palm Beach waterfront, except on March 22nd due to the boat show. This year's Green Market is seasoned to perfection and ready to return. Routinely ranked as one of the best farmers markets in the country, the 30th season will be the largest in its history, with more than 130 vendors. Get ready for fresh seasonal produce, unique offerings, live music, pop-up workshops, and the return of the popular Master Chef Showcase competition taking place every second Saturday, where local chefs and vendors compete for the West Palm Beach Green Market Master Chef title. So that's all I have, everyone. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless the great city of West Palm Beach. Good night. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.